All right, hello everybody. I'm here with Ash. We're gonna dive into a lot of stuff today, primarily focusing on current. There's some social media issues, coaching. We're going into some bodybuilding, and so yeah, let's just get into it.
I don't.
So,
Hmm.
would you like to start off by just giving a little background about yourself and sort of how you came here today and the path you're on now?
Yeah, done. So wait, I've been all over. I'm someone who's lived about 8 lives in one, going from working as a stripper, working OnlyFans, doing porn as well, online coach, professional bodybuilder, and now turned mindset coach, personal development coach, working with meditation, breath work, and just helping people shift their limiting beliefs. That's the quick and easy where we are.
And Monk. That's why you have no
and
hair right
and
now.
and my exactly that's
Yeah.
why this is in. You know what? I like it. My brother's been trying to convince me to go hairless for a long time, and I was like, not happening.
I just took 3 years to grow mine out, so it's gonna be a while for me.
I'm envious. I am
Yeah.
envious.
Well, yeah, let's get into.
So
I think what we were talking about before the call was uh, sort of the stuff people get caught up into now, right? Because there's social media is blasting the content creation, the steroids, and stuff like that,
mm,
and it's a lot of short-term thinking for short-term gains as well, too, right? And
mm,
we're seeing a lot more people get stuck in that situation, and they don't understand they really have a pathway out, right? Or where to
yeah,
go and who to turn to, because with social media, there's a lot of fake mentors that aren't
mm,
giving actual advice because they haven't actually, done the work
yeah,
themselves.
yeah.
So, yeah,
So yeah,
what are your thoughts on the state of social media and kind of what people are getting caught up in now?
horrible. It's horrible because you look at bodybuilders. Every single person that steps into a gym thinks they're a personal trainer. It's gone to the
Mm-hmm.
day where you used to have to go do your course to become a personal trainer. So there's that. Then you got the people that are in this industry working with personal development, life coaching, all this sort of stuff. And everyone's a life coach. Everyone feels they can help everyone. What really gets me is most people are doing it because they're hiding from the shit that they've got to deal with, and they don't want to deal with it, so they try to help everyone else. But what they're doing is they're tainting the people they're working with. You've got to be a personal trainer. You have to live what you preach, practice what you preach.
Mm-hmm.
With a life coach, you have to do the same. You have to be doing the work. You have to be doing the healing. You have to be doing it. But if you're not and you're going out there teaching people, then you're damaging people because you're coming at that with tainted views. You're coming at that with almost an agenda. Like, yes, it can be you want to help someone, but there's still, you're going to give an opinion. You're going to do things that are coming from an unhealed place within yourself. This is
Yeah, it's
my
coming from
experience anyway. Yeah, this is my.
it's coming from opinion. I always tell everybody it's like when I started, even in the gym, when I started in the gym, it was just you, weights, and a bunch of guys, and it was like when you start out in the gym. I started out in the gym. I think I was 15 years old,
Mm,
and it was great because nobody was filming stuff back then. There weren't tripods in the way, and the big guys would help the little guys. They teach you everything, right?
mm,
And it was from direct experience. It wasn't just like, hey, I saw this thing, I'm gonna test it out, or I've been working out for a month and now I have, I'm skinny, so I have abs, so I'm gonna show it off. Like it was real, like you really had to earn it back then. I think that
yeah.
was a big difference with how things are now, is people don't actually want to go through the process to actually earn what they want, right? It's very quick and easy. It's kind of like, okay, it's building an illusion of having the
Mm.
thing without doing the work. It's a lack of responsibility.
Well, it's like I use the Biggest Loser or lottery winners as an example. The reason why the Biggest Loser gain their weight back and more is because they haven't learned they haven't respected the process. They haven't learned the proper techniques, and they gain the
Mm-hmm.
weight back properly when they leave. Most lottery winners haven't learned how to earn the money or how to look after money or even financially literate. So they get the money, they spend it all, and they're poor again. It's the same thing with this. When people go for the quick fix, they don't develop the knowledge, they don't develop the understanding, they don't earn what they're getting. So they may have it for a short period of time, but they lose it.
Hmm. Yeah, they don't build
And
the
it's,
foundation, right?
yeah,
It's kind of like
exactly.
the rubber band. So it's like, cool, they have temporary things. And I think ironically, it's harder to do it that way because you really never build yourself, right? It's always like, hey, let
Mm-hmm.
me have this quick fix. I'm losing weight. Let me take this drug or whatever. And it's quick,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't have the behavior or the self worth. And that's where your foundation is going to be every time, right? So, let's say a lottery winner or somebody, whatever it is, they have a
Mm-hmm.
temporary high and it's just crash, crash, crash. And then
Yeah,
long term, it's always worse. And a lot of people, because they want that short term quick fix, they're not really thinking long term, right? So
nope.
they're sacrificing tomorrow for today, Yeah, I
Yeah,
see that all the time. It's really with anything with business, and it comes, it's things that are just lacking integrity anymore.
yeah,
I see that on
yeah.
like the online space is just maybe that's a word, just lacking integrity.
It
Um,
is because the internet's made everything so accessible.
mhm.
Like this is the thing. Like with me going away to do the retreat with the monk stuff, it's like I wanted to do that because if I'm going to be stepping into this space, I want to make sure I'm coming from a place of understanding. Like that's what I want to do. I don't want to learn from watching a few videos online because that's what everyone's doing these days. You can go to YouTube and learn anything, but it's still only surface level shit they're learning. Like you want to be actually be able to immerse yourself. And this is again personal opinion, but I feel if you're wanting to learn something, you want to be able to learn it properly.
Yeah, and with that, it's like I see it with the people that come to me. It's if they're trying something new, they're a little hesitant just because it's not that it's bad, but it's something
Mm-hmm.
new, right? And the thing that's going to get you outside of where you're stuck or the box you're in has to be something new, right? So there
Mm-hmm.
has to be faith. There has to be that leap of like, hey, I'm going to go live with the monks for how long was that? Like a month
Only
or
yeah, it was a month,
yeah.
but it was a month because I knew I had to come back. I had more things I had to do, and
Hmm.
this is I didn't. I loved what it was about. I loved learning, living there, just staying away from everything, no phones, no social media, all that sort of stuff. I love learning about meditation, but the lifestyle, and I enjoy the lifestyle, but I just don't resonate with the teachings.
Hmm.
Like I resonate with some of the teachings because some of the teachings are uh, in my life,
Yeah.
and they
Right.
always
Correct.
are. But the beliefs that they have, which is the same as the teachings, just didn't really resonate in some of the things, so I couldn't stay there for longer.
Yeah. Understandable. Yeah, but also, I mean, you're able to bring things back, and you're
Exactly.
in life, and I think that takes a higher level to be able to r- remain in a higher spiritual state, but also engage with day to day life, right? Because
Yeah.
we have a lot of craziness going on, right? So it's easy to go retreat and live in a mountain and not have to deal with, say relationships or money or jobs or just the day to day stress because
Yeah.
that's all distraction, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you were saying it was nice that you have no phone, no social media. It was
Mm-hmm.
kind of you just go out there and zen out. I mean, I'm sure there
Well,
was still a lot of work to
uh,
do, and it was pretty disciplined, but
oh yeah, but
yeah.
I think that's the thing because I know I'm coming back into Western world and coming back into my everyday life is I'm coming back into the distractions. Like
Hmm.
they talk about ignorance for lay people, which is us, but we have the ignorance because we're surrounded by constant distractions where they don't. But because they're also there, like they've been there for 10, 20, 30 years or whatever it is, they've become accustomed to that. They've got the ignorance to the outside world. So it's knowing that I can go in there, I can have that experience, but also knowing that I need to be able to implement that, like you said, implement that to come into the West, back to my day to day life, because I need to make sure I'm going to be calm because there's so much stress that happens out here, and that's what I'm grateful that I brought out of this. Is
Hmm.
I've ever since I think it was ever since halfway through week two of the retreat, I've been up here, literally,
Yeah.
I've been up here, and I haven't been able to come down. And it's just because I'm continuing my practice. I'm meditating every single day, and I'm just keeping that mindfulness going, which is great.
Yeah. And then I think the other day, I think what was that 3, 4 days ago, we were talking about service to others as well, right?
Yeah,
How that's a big aspect of life, and I guess the main theme of this conversation is, uh, the quick fix is sort of the selfishness, right? And people don't
yeah,
understand really the what service is and how that actually helps you lead a great life and fulfill you in different ways than just the
yeah,
quick
exactly,
fixes, right? Being able
exactly.
to serve somebody and lift them out of their state, whether it's through meditation, breath work, energy work, healings, teachings,
Mm-hmm.
etc. I think a lot of people look at life and say, "Oh, it's hard," so they default and say, "Oh, I'm just going to take care of me and just screw everybody else," right?
Yeah, yeah.
And one
It's
of the things
victim mindset.
yeah, correct, and
Yeah,
it's poor me, right? It's like, oh, I can't be strong enough to help anybody out. Like that's crazy, right? So
yeah.
I have to just reach for what's immediately available and just
Mm-hmm.
serve myself. And when you serve yourself, you cut yourself off, right?
Yeah,
You have to have connection and relationships to grow, and you have to serve those relationships as well if you want those to expand and
yeah,
become better.
yeah.
Um, yeah, what are your thoughts on that? Because I remember we talked a little bit about that, just service to others.
Look, when I look at service rather than service itself, I refer to the law of one, where especially we're going to the fourth density at the moment, which started in 2012. And it's that we're at the time in our life now where we need to decide whether we're whether service self-service or others. And this is the thing, because we're going through an awakening at the moment. Everything's happening as the awakening, and being the people that are in this space, like you or me and other people, is where having the service to others is the best thing that we can do, because we're here to guide people through this confusing time. Because
Hmm.
you have the people that are service to self, which are basically going to go, "Fuck you! I'm looking out for myself. I'm doing this." It is. I find it the victim mindset, because everything's happening to them, not for them. But we're here
Correct.
to be able to guide people, to be able to show, no, everything's happening for you. Embrace it, go with it. But know that life is one of the most beautiful things that can happen to you. You just need to do the work within yourself to then embrace what life can do for you. And I think
Yeah, no,
it's one of the most selfless things for us to do, is to be able to be those guides for people. Because yes,
hmm
we are serving ourselves because this is something we enjoy doing, but we're doing that service for others because we know it's like we see what's on this other side. We know which way you can go. You're starting to feel that you want to change. You're starting to feel that there is something different. Let us help you. Let us hold the space for you to discover that yourself.
yeah, exactly. I think that's really important now because I have people and clients all the time. They tell me like, "Well, the world's all screwed up and it's crazy, and everyone's losing their mind since say 2020 and everything. It just keeps
Mm,
getting crazier." And I'm like, it might, right? But
mm,
there's also going to be a time where there's a clear divide between the people who want to grow and serve and progress and do
mm,
better and the people who don't, right? And that's what I think that's what people don't understand is like, yeah, if you look at everything overall, there's more craziness, but there's also way more good happening at the same time. So it's sort of
yeah.
this fight right now. It's trying to balance itself out, right? So I think that gives
It's
people a lot of
polarity.
clarity. What's
It's a
that?
polarity. It's polarity. You need to have dark and light. You need to have good and bad. You need to have all these things. There's literally constant polarity. But as the awakening's happening, is the polarity of the good is starting to be tested a lot more, because the dark
Yeah,
is getting a lot stronger, because they can see that the shift that's actually happening. It's that.
correct.
Have you heard of that analogy? Now I'm going to butcher this, but I think it's that farmer who fucking what was it? He kept saying, "We will see."
Oh yeah,
Have
something
you,
happens like his cattle dies and something happens to his son.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and then we will see.
hmm
It's exactly that. It's everyone's coming up with the negative perspective, and he's just like, yeah, we will see. And in the long run, it always works out.
Correct. Yeah, yeah. I mean, you don't know what's good and bad once you're in it. Once you go through the process and you have hindsight, you can see like, okay, cool, I made it through. I made it through. Now I'm up here. Oh, I can say, oh, okay, cool. That's where I got stuck, and that's where a guide and teachers come in because they've gone through the process, right? And they can guide somebody. Somebody asked me the other day, they're like, well, what's the purpose of a guide? And I was like, okay, well, I try to make things very practical. I'm like, well, say if you're trekking through the woods with a guide, right? Somebody that's taking you through a path. And what if they've only been so far? And they say, oh, well, they turn around and say, okay, well, we're lost in the middle of the woods now. I can't take you any further, right? Or what if they have, say, a machete or they've been down the path already and they can take you through? And
Yeah,
they go, oh, well, look out for this, or make a turn here, go here, right? Because it helps you navigate faster. So everybody, the cool benefit of working with a guide or a teacher is they did the work to make your work easier. It should make your work easier,
yeah, it
you
should.
know.
Yes.
And I think
That's what we were saying earlier. Sorry, cut you off. That's what we were saying earlier. We get the people that are unhealed doing the healing work. It's like why you're not healed enough? You haven't even gone through the process to be able to start doing the work. Like
yeah. So
it's
they're just
you
shooting me
have
your
to.
opinions,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, it's just like this. Yeah, I know. Sorry,
it's pointless.
one of our things. Yeah,
Mm.
it's like having merit and actually earning things, right? Going through it. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
that's oh yeah, it brings me to a good point. Having real life mentors, right? Because we're talking about that and social media and how
Mm-hmm.
I get people all the time, usually younger men. They say, "Hey, did you see that clip, or did you see that thing, or what that guy said, or whatever?" I said, "No, not really, right?
Mm.
Because my mentors, I can actually see my mentors in person. I can go physically shake their hand and sit down and learn from them.
Yeah,
And people, you can't substitute having real in-person connection, right? Energetically, it's completely different,
yeah.
it goes beyond just the mind or information or, oh, that sounded cool, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
we have that sounded cool a million times a day. We're always getting
Yeah.
stimulation. If we're scrolling through Instagram and, oh, okay, that's
Mm-hmm.
cool, let me save that, and then what do we do with it? Probably nothing,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So,
Yep.
I see a lot of, there's cool like retreats and events. I see more of it happening now, which is cool that people who get it, they're inviting people into their space. They're creating spaces. They're creating either it's retreat centers or whatever events they're doing to actually bring people in physically, and that gives them a whole different experience and shift in their energy.
Yeah.
Because and I think it shows people actually care too, right?
Yeah. Like,
It's
I think it's a I think we're still at the stage now where it's you've still got to research the people that you're going to be going into the space with, because a lot of people at the moment are still looking at cash grabs. Like
hmm
it's a fad. Retreats are a fad. Like it's the in thing at the moment. Everyone's becoming a coach. Everyone's wanting to work from home. Everyone's a life coach. Everyone's doing the retreats. Everyone's doing these sorts of things. So there's good ones and there's ones you've got to really watch out for to make sure like people have to do the research because there are some evil people that still show they are good. I've literally come from those people. Over the past 6 months, I've encountered those people,
hmm
and it's very difficult because it comes across. They present themselves as someone who is awake, caring, loving. All they want is the best for you, and all these sorts of things. But in actual fact, is they are literally dicking you over behind the back. They're taking your money and just wanting to do that. So you've just been very careful with these days with people.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that, and I've also seen people that they might have well intentions, but most people can't perceive most things past physicality in their mind.
Yeah.
And we're talking about that before. Is a lot of things just go to the mind, and I always say the mind is sort of our junk box, right? It's our all the stuff we've collected and all the limitations we have, and then all
Yeah.
energy comes in. It's filtered through our mind, and then what do we see reflected in our external is just kind of the junk and opinions that we're holding on to,
Yeah.
and you see that a lot with say coaches as well too. Is you know one of my pet peeves is okay, hey, I'm a coach, I'm going to show you how to have all these things, all the houses, the cars, etc., right?
Mm.
And
Yeah.
then you see them stuck too because all that stuff is great, right?
Mm.
If that's the stuff you like and that's what fills you up, by all
Mm.
means go buy it. I like cars, one day I'll have
Mm.
plenty of cars, but
Mm.
I'm not ever going to show that's the end all be all to progression and life here, right? We should learn foundational things of how to live in physicality, but we should also go, we were saying like higher and higher dimensions, right?
Mm.
Because,
Yeah.
progression is a big thing. And I think people don't really know what progression is because they can't see it, right? They're talking
Mm.
about higher spiritual dimensions. You've mentioned the fourth dimension and, people are like, well, what do you mean? Right. And there has to be to, to even start that journey, there has to be a desire, right?
Mm.
So a
Yeah.
lot of people, if people come to me and they say, "Hey, I want to work with you," but it's all the buts, right? They make all the excuses of why they can't. It's usually physical things. It's like, oh, it's a money thing, it's a time thing, it's my job, it's this
Right.
thing that's keeping me stuck, right? Because they don't want to let go of those physical things to move on to the next level,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So typically it's not until the person has there's in the hermetic lineage there's stages of it's called self-initiation before somebody comes to me as a guy to get initiated into a lineage. There's levels of self-initiation of self-development that they have to go through, that they have to go through life and maybe good, bad, whatever, to say, hey, you know what, finally I realize there's more and I'm ready, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. 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 Well, that's
So
it. People don't realize there's a level of self work they need to be able to do to be able to start elevating themselves. They
mhm.
feel they can do. They feel they can do the breath work. They feel they can do sit down and do some meditation. They feel they can go and do a ceremony. They feel they can do these like ayahuasca, whatever it is. But they don't really. They feel if they just do the thing, oh, that's them. I'm good. It's like no, there is so much work you have to be able to do to be able to elevate.
Yeah, and
So
all
much.
those are, I see that a lot, and it's everywhere. If somebody's like, well, what's a spiritual guide? They say, well, one, they said, you guide people through like psychedelic trips. I'm like, no, that's not, you know, that's been
Yeah.
a tool for some people, but it's not say spiritual, right? Because it's almost like taking, it's, you're hijacking the type of state that you want, right? And it's to really maintain that state is like, it has to be on you. You have to build yourself to a high energetic level to say, hey,
Mm,
this is where I'm at now and have that
mm,
platform and go up and up and up.
mm.
So there's a lot of confusion about say what is spiritual, right? And they say, well, I go to yoga, that's spiritual. It's like, yeah, it's a practice, it's a tool. Or I do
Yeah.
ice baths. And it's like, yeah, those are all tools. We have tools, and tools are to help build us to the next level. But to get to the next level, it has to be us, right? It has to be, you have to go to somebody as a
100%.
guide, or there's 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 initiations you can do, and an initiation is to initiate something is to begin something new, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you initiate that new level or new reality, then you get to experience things firsthand and you get to learn directly, right? And
Mm-hmm.
going back to what we were saying about the mind, right? That's a key thing people are missing. They're trying they're trying to experience higher levels through just basic physical things, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
like, well, how many yoga? It's like, how many times have you gone ice baths? Oh, 1,000 times, But they keep going back, right? It's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's just keeping that glass ceiling there that they can't break through.
Well, they're trying to elevate with the same mindset.
Hmm.
They're literally they think, oh, I can do this thing and that's going to change, but in actual fact, you've just added something in, but you haven't changed the way you think. You haven't changed any of those sorts of things. It's like, again, ayahuasca. So have you seen the movie Meg 2?
Oh, with the yeah, yeah, I saw
The
a
giant
couple bites.
shark.
The big sharks, yeah, it's
Yeah, yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
at the in number two, they've got the thing called the thermocline.
Uh,
Now,
what, what,
which so the thermocline is at the base where it kind of looks like the
oh,
ocean
that
floor.
level to break through it.
Yeah, to
Yeah,
break
yeah.
through it. So
Okay.
the way I look at things like psychedelics and breath work and different plant medicines is that is basically removing the thermosphere within us. And by that removing that thermosphere within us, it then shows us all the things that we have to do to elevate, the things that we have to work through, all of that sort of stuff. But that's the thing. As soon as you come back out of the thermosphere is closed.
Hmm.
So the stuff's there. You can see what you have to do, but then it's up to you to implement it when you come out. And people don't. People sit there and they go through ceremonies. They try to do, like you said, they do the ice bars, they do the fucking everything. They feel that there's a thing that's going to change them, but it's this thing they need to work through. They need to use this to be able to actually start to make the shift. And again,
Yeah, we
it goes
have
back. Sorry.
in Kabbalah. I don't. Have you ever studied Kabbalah before?
Yeah, I did level two.
There's the tree of life, right? And you have the Sephiros,
Yeah,
and at Doth, right? So Doth separates the lower tree from the supernals, and that's kind
yeah,
of like the thermosphere, right? So
yeah,
it's breaking through your abyss, right? And your abyss is kind of all your fears and everything that
yeah.
keep you in that box, keep you stuck, keep you kind of scared, and the only thing that's really going to get you through it is faith. Having faith to say, hey, no matter what, I know me, and I'm going to jump, I'm going to take a leap of faith, typically with a
Mm,
guide or a teacher that's bringing you through that. I'm
mm,
going to say, screw it, I'm just going to do it. And then you get to the
mm.
other side, right? And the other side is where all the hidden knowledge is. It's like you can't expect for that wisdom to come through if you don't, throw yourself into the process.
Well,
And I see
it's
that's
the
where a lot
thing,
of people get stuck.
100%. But the
Hmm.
thing is that it can be done by yourself. It can be. It's just a fucking process.
Yeah.
Like, and this is the things which we don't when we're at the monastery, through meditation, is being able to use meditation as the way for you to elevate yourself, to be able to grow, to be able to mentally raise your frequency, to be able to track the things that are those next levels.
Hmm.
Like, have you ever heard the quote? It's like with Thomas Edison. So Thomas Edison, for him to get the light, like every thought already exists. Everything that could ever exist already exists at a different frequency.
Hmm.
Thomas Edison had to be at a certain frequency to get to the idea of the light bulb.
Hmm.
It's like we can do these things ourselves, but because we don't, there's no fucking rule book, there's no guidebook, there's none of that. That's where we come in as someone who can help guide them the way to be able to raise their frequency. And I think that's yeah.
Yeah, it's nothing. Well, you said that with the frequency. That's the thing. If you're on a spiritual path, and a spiritual path, say if you're working with a mystery school or a guide or teacher, is they have the plan. And I see a lot of people that they have the desire to raise themselves and progress, but they don't know. They have a piece. Okay, hey, I did this thing here. I have a book. They have all these scattered pieces, and yeah, over a long period of time, you can do it and progress. But it's why would not have a compiled
Yeah.
system where you can say, instead of making it very taking forever and going very hard. Like I always say, it's most people do things very linear, right? It's very like
Mhm.
piece by piece. Okay, I'm gonna try to figure this, try to figure that out. So they just go along the track, and they don't really. It's tough to really grow. With a path, it all puts it together and says, okay, instead of going here, you can do it as fast
Yeah.
as you want, and you just go vertical, right? You ascend.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. And I always kind of show with my hands. It's like the spiritual path looks like this. It's like growing, expanding upward, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not in the dark of, another example I use is, okay, well, everybody, Think and Grow Rich, right?
Mm-hmm.
That
Incredible.
book's been read millions and millions of times. Okay, why isn't every single person that read that book, filthy rich? Why? Because it
Yeah.
takes it takes more than just the mind and the stuff to actually have success. It's
Mm-hmm.
all energetic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't have information with the energy, then the information is pointless.
100%.
Yeah, it's just filling the
100%.
space. Yeah. Yeah. Well,
100%.
what about? Do you want to talk a little bit about what you do in breath work and meditation? Because when I started meditating, maybe 7 years ago, 8 years ago, I sort of just like, okay, all right, this is dumb, right? Because it's some because it's funny. It's one of the best tools, but it's just so simple. It's almost too simple as you write it off. When I first meditated, um, I'm like, yeah, I don't want to sit there for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I want to go do this. I want to go do that because our mind, we get pulled away and distracted,
Yeah.
right? So I think somebody who's starting meditation, with our monkey minds, kind of the distracted mind, they won't really see the benefit until they build that muscle.
It's what's the name? People don't have the immediate gain from it. And
Yeah,
that's it. Like we live in such a fucking what is it? It used to be a 2 second world, now it's like a 0.5 second world.
yeah,
Like it's ridiculous. If you don't get results yesterday, you don't want to do it. Like the biggest thing for me was I used to always believe that because of my ADHD, I had to do breath work before I did meditation, and then I could only meditate for 5 minutes. But I used to believe the breath work would bring me down to, and it does do that. It allows you to relax a lot more to then go into the meditative state. But I was limiting myself, putting my ceiling there because I'm like, I can't do it. Then when I went to the monastery, granted, I was in the situation to be able to do it. I was meditating 4 to 6 hours a day. I had no phone. I was in the middle of the forest. I had nothing else around me besides literally it was journal, eat, sleep, talk to the book, talk to the people that I was there with, or meditate. And when I learned to meditate, it changed my life. And it's literally something that we have within us. Literally sitting there, you could do just do 5 minutes, and you start to build up that process. But it's sitting there and actually sitting with the experience that's happening because there's no such thing as a bad meditation.
hmm
It's just a meditation where you just learn. You sat there, you had the wandering mind the entire time, so that's cool. You use a mantra next time. You find ways to be able to bring yourself back to center. It's like learning to ride a bike. You don't fucking get on and ride a bike straight away. You
that's
fall
right
off. You
away.
have all those. Exactly.
Yeah.
So you've got to go through that process of learning how to fucking bring yourself in the center, so you're not going like this. It's the
hmm
exact same thing with meditation. So,
Yeah, it's like
uh, yeah,
it's like everything else you're talking about. It's building a muscle, right? The meditation is a muscle in itself. It's the first time you're like, oh, okay, that was I felt kind of I got irritated the first time I meditated. I'm like, I don't want to do this. It's the
yep,
same thing. The first time I was in the gym, I was excited to go in the gym, but I'm like, oh shit, this hurts. Right? I'm weak. You kind
yeah,
of you figure out your start point. From there, you can start building off that.
yeah,
And once you get consistent with the meditation, that's why you probably get the same thing. People, well, how do you stay calm all the time?
yeah,
It's like, well, because my mind's calm. It just kind of passes through, and I don't have to react to everything, right? And that's
exactly.
all from meditation. It's building, having
Yeah.
that muscle strongly built. And
Hmm.
I've always made the example. I'm like, my house could be burning down. I'll just be like, okay,
Yeah.
what can I do about it? I'm clear, right? Can I go
Hmm.
grab something? Can I go get a hose or whatever? I'm not gonna be freaking out. I'm
Yeah.
just like, oh, what do
Yeah.
I need to do,
Yeah.
right?
What can I
So all
control?
the yeah. What's your
Yeah.
experience of that? I think that's always funny when people think it's not normal to stay calm in situations.
I think I've come through a life where I would be full of anxiety,
Hmm
full of anxiety. Uh, but again, coming back from the monastery, is I was faced with situations where I would have been pulling whatever hair I had left out, and I ended up like having to sort out my dog, having to sort out flights here, having to work everything out, and I did it so calmly, where
hmm
the boys around me were freaking the fuck out. And when I say freaking the fuck out, they'd go, he'd go back on himself of what the decision he made of what he was going to do. we'd have a conversation, he'd get excited, he'd agree, he'd work out what he was going to do, he'd make a decision, he'd go back on it. So much so, this kept happening that every plan that he kept making, every time he went back on, it kept falling through.
Hmm.
And as it kept falling through, he then had to drive all the way back to the other side of Australia. Once he drove back to the other side of Australia, as soon as he went back into the area, which was the state that he said I didn't want to go into, I don't want to go back there because it's going backwards. He got pulled up by the cops for his license being expired. He got pulled up for the cops because his car was not insured. He got a flat tire. His everything fucking went wrong,
Yeah, because you went back.
and exactly because
That's
he
a
went
good.
backwards.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's no going backwards. You can't go backwards because
Well, you
it's
can, but there's only people. People look at that as like, oh, I get to a certain place, I'm gonna be comfortable. I'm gonna kind of stagnate, right? Because
yeah.
energy always has to move, right? Energy is either gonna progress or regress. And it sounds like he was. It's funny. I love that example because, um, I always say it's easier to just go through the shit. It's easier
Yeah.
just to you think it's hard because it's new, it's uncomfortable, but on the other side, it's so much better. It's always better because you have as you progress and as you go through the hard stuff, you just find more and more joy in your life, and you think it's going to be easier now, back away, and you think that's going to bring you the joy and the peace and the calmness, and then you find out it's like, oh, things are going to worse now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's
So
ridiculous.
yeah.
And the thing is, you can tell someone, but they have to be ready to accept it.
Oh
They
yeah,
have to
yeah,
they have
Jesus,
to be ready. Yeah, they have to be ready to accept it. And I had this conversation multiple times,
things will just go
and I
right over
was
their head.
exactly. And I even actually had a conversation with him today. I was like, so I'm a bit confused about why this has happened. We've had this conversation. You've had all these opportunities,
A million
and you've
times.
literally exactly. But you've gone back
Yeah.
into the one thing that you told me you didn't want to do because this was going to happen, and it was excuses. There was excuses
Yeah.
that came forward of justifying why he had to do what he had to do, and I picked it apart. And I was like, he goes, my gut instinct tells me I have to stay here. Granted, he has great intuition. He has really good intuition, so I'm with him. But also, I see the excuses that were coming out and justifications of why he went backwards. And I'm like, you know what? I love you. I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, I get that a lot. And, I can typically tell if somebody's ready to progress by the quality of the questions they ask, right? Because
Yeah.
you have a sense that they're open to actually receive what they're asking for, right? And if
Mm.
somebody's not open to receive, they have opinions. They're telling
Yep.
you, they're saying, hey, they're saying, hey, Ash, help me with this thing, but I'm going to tell you how it's going to be done. And it's
Mm.
like it just doesn't work that way, right? Or they start
Yeah.
justifying is another form of like telling you, like, no, but you don't understand. It's this way. It's like, "Dude, I understand. Like I've been through it. I get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, there has to be. I always use the example. It's like the cup being too full, right? The cup has to be there has to be space to be able to receive it or something, and that could be letting go of fears, opinions, or all the boxes that we're creating to
Mm.
receive the next thing. So yeah, it's just always
I like
unfortunately
that.
when somebody says, hey, I wanna grow, and I bet with you get people all the time that are consultation calls or meetings and say, oh yeah, it sounds
Mm.
amazing, I want to do it, and you're like, cool, let's do it, and they're like,
Yep.
you're like,
Yep. All
you
the time.
know I
All the
think
time.
that's probably one of the most unfortunate parts about helping people is seeing them play small and seeing them they get right up to the line where they're about to grow, and then they back off, and it's
Mm.
like we just it would be great if I can just grab them and pull them over the line and be like, hey, you're just gonna drag you
Mm.
through, but that's just not empowering them, right? Because
No.
if we do it for them, then it doesn't stick for them. So
Yeah. And
yeah.
that's the other thing I think we people tend to forget in this space. There's a lot of people go, "Oh, I'm a healer. I healed this person." It's like, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. That person healed themselves. You gave them the space
Hmm.
to heal.
Yeah,
And I think
that's
that's a toxic side of this industry is people want to take the claim to someone else's work,
yeah,
right?
all healing is self-healing, right? It's
Yeah,
we're just we're the conduit for that. It's we're opening up a door and saying, hey, there's a door that you didn't even know existed if you
mhm,
want to walk through the door and take that opportunity,
mhm,
but they have to
mhm.
actually go through that door and take the opportunity, right?
But as a prime example, have you ever heard of TRE?
Is it an
Yes.
author
No, no,
or
no. So TRE is it's like a trauma release. I think they call it trauma release exercise, if I'm correct. I
yeah, I'm
went and
familiar
did this
with certain ones.
I went and did this last night with the creator of TRE. And it was one of the most interesting things in the world. So basically, the way he discovered this was living in war-torn countries and seeing how when like bombs went off, he saw everyone's reaction where they crunch over and do this, how it's just a natural
Mm-hmm.
reaction. And we know trauma is stored in the muscles. So it's like how these things of our central nervous system as a natural reaction is stored in the nervous system. So he's worked out a way to be able to get that to start to release. And I went through this last night. It was the most wildest experience because I've got videos. I'm going to post a video about this in the next couple of days. I've got videos of me literally lying on the ground, convulsing like this,
Yeah.
and it's one of the most incredible things because I didn't even he fixed my shoulder. So like I've
Mm-hmm.
dislocated this shoulder 8 times. At one point, I couldn't get my arm past like a certain area. Basically, we went through. At one point I was convulsing like this. He put his finger underneath my scapula, and I went through the process again. It was like cool, pulled his finger out. Next, you know, within about a minute, I was convulsing like this. So my shoulders had freed up, and I then got
Yeah.
full range of motion back in my shoulder. And I was like, this is incredible because it's amazing the trauma and things that can be released just from doing this as something so simple. And he's
Mm-hmm.
like, it's the same thing. We heal ourselves. Our body heals ourselves. We heal our fucking selves,
Mm-hmm.
but we're conditioned to believe that we can't.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why people are cut off of that thing. If you with healing, right, it's getting a flow of energy back to homeostasis, right? It's so energy can energy is supposed to come in through our system, then go out, and then just circulate, right? And then what happens when we have traumas or things happen is energy gets stuck, right? And then it's like there's like a roadblock there. So when energy is coming down our central core and it's going through our body and it's expressing out, it gets stuck there, and then it's like a hologram, right? It's like shining light through a hologram, and you see kind of the junk there, and you see that reflects on our external life, right? The relationships, the situations. It's just all
Yeah.
a reflection of our internal state, the energy we're holding on to. And that's a really cool part about I love when people with me the first time, because typically they're not if they're working with me the first time, they haven't experienced energy healing before. They might have said like, oh, I've done Reiki, and Reiki's great, but it's very basic. There's other like very comprehensive healings that people can receive. Um, and then but they feel it too, right? And that's sort of what you were saying last night. There was something stuck and it had to be released, and you felt it. You probably felt it on the way out as you're convulsing and stuff, right? But
Yep.
then it was able to clear, right? So that created the space for new energy to come in, right?
Yep.
Now you have a greater capacity to utilize energy and create with.
100%.
And it's cool after I'll check in with my people a couple of days after their session. I'm like, well, how are you feeling? They're like, oh, amazing. Like, some people are like, well, this because you're working. One of the sessions I do, we're working on their seven main energy systems, and one being their magnetic energy, and that's how we're drawing things to us, right? So there's a funny story. One guy said, oh, I made $15,000 the next day. He's like, is that what it's supposed to do? And he said everyone in the office was laughing at him because he was telling them the story, and I was like, yeah, I mean, the healing's not so you can make $15,000 the next day, but when you're clearing up the blockages, now the good stuff can come in, right? Because
Yeah.
that was sort of Price sitting in the outfield somewhere for him, and he was
Yeah.
blocking it in some way. But now, since we remove the junk, boom, it comes in, right? Or
Yep.
maybe a better relationship, or like you were saying with Thomas Edison, right? He was able to receive those ideas because he was clear, right? And he was at a higher state to be able to receive that. And that's what we're doing with all the healing, right? It's one, to know ourselves, become greater and progress, but two, it's to if we're weighed down and we're kind of shackled by all that negative energy and the crap that we're accumulating, we can't ascend anyway, right? So that's always step one, is to heal and to let go of sort of the dead weight in our system. You
Well,
know?
you just touched on relationships then as well, and it's the exact same thing as relationships. Like you're gonna keep attracting the shit. You're gonna keep attracting the people that are gonna make you learn in relationships. So you need to do the inner work to understand what you want, what you don't want. Raise your frequency to have the energy, or attract the energy of the person that matches your energy. Because we will always attract the same energy where we're at.
Yeah, I love when people complain about they want to bash who they're with or their exes and say, oh, this person, oh, they're so bad, blah blah. I'm like, oh, okay. It's
Look in the
probably
mirror. Yeah, look in the mirror. Yeah,
yeah. Look at me. I'm like, okay, no, I'm not like that. I'm like, it might my take on that it's hilarious because it's I just shut up for while they're saying, well, okay.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but yeah, it might
yeah,
not be, if somebody's like crazy, whatever. Maybe you're not to that extreme, but maybe it's reflecting us, it's amplifying it so you can actually see it,
yeah. Yeah. There are bits
and
of
they
it. There are
don't.
bits.
Yeah, there's little bits, and it might not be. Yeah, as I was saying, it might not be that extreme of like. I had a guy say, "Oh, my ex girlfriend's crazy. She, goes. I had a guy. His ex girlfriend like destroyed one of his nice cars. Oh,
Oh
she's
wow.
this, she's that. I'm like, well, maybe there's a little bit in you that she's showing you that you need to clean up. Then once you clean up that piece, then you don't have the crazy relationships anymore,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
It's where
Yep.
the self awareness, I guess honesty comes in, right? Because a lot of people don't want to be honest with themselves.
Yeah.
To
100%.
they don't want to look at themselves and be honest to say, okay, hey, or they don't want to empower themselves, right? They say, oh no, it's somebody else, it's this person, it's that person, they're causing me all this harm in my life. And it's
Yeah.
like, well, who's the creator of your life, right? It's you. You're at the.
Exactly.
We're all at the center of our own lives, creating all the good, bad, the lessons,
Mm-hmm.
everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the day we actually accept that, I was saying recently, I think maturity starts the day we accept responsibility. The day we actually, yeah, right. The day we actually realize it was all us, right? And we can't point any fingers because the fingers are all pointing back at us. And we can
Mm-hmm.
say, cool, okay, well now I can actually take a step forward and not
Mm-hmm.
have all these traps anymore. Because there's people that are 20 years old that are very mature and responsible. There's people that are 70 years old that are it just hasn't clicked yet, and they think, they still think, oh, all these people over the last 6 decades have done me wrong. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, you gotta
Well,
learn the lesson at some point.
100%. But that's the
Right.
thing. The universe will keep giving you the lesson until you're ready to learn it, and it'll come
Mm-hmm.
in either multiple different forms, or it'll keep coming at the same fucking form. Either way, this is what we're here to do. We're literally here to learn and to grow and to evolve. And the universe is love. Everything is love,
Yeah.
but it's a perspective that we give it. And if you look at being the victim mindset, if you look at everything's happening to me, then you're going to continue down that path. And unfortunately, dude, there are people that are literally, like you said, 70. I got friends that I know that are 40 or 50, and I just listen to them talk, and I'm just like, fuck me, wow. Like you're 20 years older than me, and this is your perspective, and they're still not ready. They're still not ready in a position to take on a different point of view. And it's like, you know what? That is your journey. I'm not gonna. I can. Who am I to turn around and go, like, hold you down and just tell you what to believe? I think it's your journey. You do your thing.
Yeah,
It's
it's unfortunate. Yeah, because yeah, I think unfortunately it's cool what's happening now. I mean, it's accelerating, but a lot of people have gone through life. I've seen this with like people that are older than me. They've gone through life and they form, the good, the bad, and they take on a lot of the bad, and they don't know how
mm,
to progress from there, right? So it taints their view on life. It's like I always tell people, it's like looking through a cloudy window. Everyone looks out and be like, that's their opinions, and they're like, oh, life
mm.
sucks. Everyone looks, it's dark and depressing, right? And it's like once we clear that and we can see clearly, it's like, oh, life's amazing, right? There's people,
Mm-hmm.
there's joy, there's
Mm-hmm.
love, there's all this stuff. It's literally right in front of their. It's like a veil, right? And the veil needs
Oh yeah,
lifted
yeah.
so they can
Mm-hmm.
actually see it. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, unfortunately, they accept that stuff, and because I mean, the truth is there is good and bad in the world, right? But it's what do you do with those things, right? There's always going to be challenges. And when we were talking earlier on this call, there's always going to be
Mm-hmm.
bad, but how do we build ourselves to overcome those things? And the people
Mm-hmm.
who don't want to build themselves are the ones that get stuck in the bad. Then they have,
Yeah.
oh, it's, they just have opinions. Um,
It's all perspective as well. I don't think there's good or bad. I mean, look, there's evil, but
yeah, that's what I'm
when
saying. That's what I'm saying.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think it's all perspective, and people just need a perspective shift. But
Mhm.
unfortunately, they're just yeah, they can't they can't and they won't. They're not ready.
Yeah, I think a big reason why is they don't understand empowerment, they don't understand spiritual progression, so they think, oh, I'm limited by my experience, or these are the cards I was dealt, right?
Mm-hmm.
And these are
Mm-hmm.
gonna be my cards forever. And I
Mm-hmm.
had somebody saying 2 3 weeks ago, he goes, well, oh, this is my destiny. The guy was asking me for help, and I said, yeah, we can, work
Yeah.
together. All these, I laid out this plan. This is what it's going to look like. And I've accepted this is my destiny. I'm like, okay, well, that's a destiny's a really strong word, right? Destiny is like, okay, this is going to be almost eternal, right? This is forever. Uh, you know,
Oh, that's painful. That's
yeah,
painful.
it's unfortunate. You're kind of there. It's like being a guy. It's like being a guy is like standing there with your arms open, trying to like hug somebody, but they don't want to come near you. You're like,
Yep.
it's right here, right? And they're like,
Yep.
and they're very closed off.
Yeah.
But yeah, what you said, it's like we're here to experience, we're here to create, we're here to learn the principles of creation, right? Because
Hmm.
what's our highest potential is to know ourselves and to create, right? It's like what does God do and what do we do? We both create, you know. So
That's
we're learning from the big G how to do that, and then we get to
yeah.
create all the cool stuff in life.
That's what I think. When you look at the law of one, the way it talks about is we're all a part of the collective consciousness, and every single lifetime we're here, our soul remembers everything that we've gone through. This is why we take through, like you look at, again, Kabbalah, Tikkun.
Hmm.
Like the Tikkun that we bring through in every single lifetime is what we were meant to learn in the last lifetime, but we didn't. So it's like we're here to learn, we're here to grow. We will continue to learn and grow as we evolve through the densities until we become a collective consciousness. Like, and the collective
Yeah,
consciousness it is the entirety of the universe. But the thing is, we are all here to learn. Everyone's like, "What's my purpose?" Your purpose is here to live. Literally, the purpose is here to live and experience life.
hmm,
That's what it is because you'll continue to do that over the lifetimes that you have. But
we
it's
will keep doing
then
that too in like higher dimensions. A lot of people, one of the things
exactly
I
yeah.
always tell people that work with me that are older, I said, well, if you don't learn it now, you're gonna have to learn it in a
Hmm.
different dimension, right? Because it's like once we leave physicality and go to higher dimensions, if you leave your physical body, you pass away, you leave your physical body, and you're miserable, you're still gonna be miserable on the other side, right?
Hmm.
We exist in eternity, right? There's no running away from it. It's no, I mean
Yeah.
that's sort of kind of splits the room because some people think, oh, well, you pass away and that's it, lights are out, done, gone,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
the spiritual perspective of no, we keep growing and progressing, right?
Mhm.
It's always become bigger and greater and greater. So until you realize, hey, I'm responsible for myself in my own state. I want to create joy, and this is what I want, and act
Mhm.
on that. Then you're still going to be stuck, and it's not going to be an escape when you pass over. Um,
Did you ever play
and
The
I think
Sims?
what's that? Oh, the game?
Did
Yeah,
you
yeah, of
ever
course.
The Sims? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, of
that.
course.
It's literally that. You live a life, your sim dies, next thing you know, you come back, you build them another house, you start again.
Yeah,
And
but they never want
every
to.
time, but every time you come back, you've still got the stats from the last time. So you're still continuing on. You're just leveling up every single fucking time, every lifetime.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, even that. Yeah,
yeah.
we talk in the class I teach in Power Thyself, we teach about the spiritual dimensions, right? So we're here in physicality, have the physical experience, right? And
Mm.
there's benefits of learning in physicality, right? Because as we progress and things become less physical, things are going to happen a lot faster,
Hmm.
right? So it's good that I know there was one of the documentaries was saying it was talking about visualization. It was like, well, you're lucky that you can't just visualize a elephant in your room and just crashes through your ceiling right away because there's sort of but they're using that example because it's everything's a reflection of our consciousness, right? So as we
Yeah,
progress to
yeah.
higher dimensions, those things are going to come faster, right? So it's good that there's a bit of in the 3D world, there's a bit of a time delay, so we don't, we're not mad at something and something just happens, right? Because
Yeah.
eventually, as we go through the fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh dimension, those things are going to happen faster and faster.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
more, there's more responsibility on us, and it's
Hmm.
that's a big benefit of being here.
Hopefully by then our consciousness is a lot more positive, so we don't sit there thinking about an elephant coming through the roof. Just
Unless it's
have to,
funny, I don't know. Yeah,
oh,
unless it brings joy in some way, I think that'd be funny.
yeah,
It's
fair.
like just it was there. But let's see, I need to look over my notes because I know we talked about a lot of good stuff and coaching industry. Yeah, that was a big one. Yeah, what do you think? What do you think is next steps? Let's talk about. We've talked about social media, kind of the quick and easy. Um, we went through different rabbit holes of spiritual stuff. We talked about meditation, breath work,
Mm.
why people are stuck, healing. Um, what do you see? Well, I'm sure a lot of people that are exploring spirituality for the first time, they're going to see this. And what would you recommend, you know, them do for their next steps?
Start with the basics. Like
Yeah.
people, it's like habit stacking. People want to change their habits. They feel they have to go fucking all or nothing straight away, and it doesn't work. Like this whole path, if you're not used to it and you don't have, if it's brand new to you, it's gonna be fucking confusing.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is. There is so many different things. It's like vegans telling you vegan is the only way forward. Carnivores telling you carnivore is the only way forward. You have no fucking idea. People have no fucking idea. People tell
Right.
you yoga's the way forward. Breathwork, meditation. You got to do plant medicine. Look, find something that resonates with you. I got
Mm-hmm.
one of my clients. We some of the breathwork we do. She walks away feeling. We do a breathwork and a meditation. She walks away every single time. She can feel her hands getting really, really, really fucking warm. And
Like your chi
it's a
energy
relief.
there.
Yeah, exactly. It's a
Yeah.
relief, that whole release of chi energy. And I said to her, I'm like, look, you're very new to this, but have a look at Reiki. See if Reiki resonates with you. Because if Reiki resonates with you, oh, that's my thing. If Reiki resonates with you, then amazing. You can start playing with that because Reiki masters have really powerful connection to the energy in their hands because they know how to use it. If that's what you're feeling, start there, experience it. We've been doing breathwork and meditation. She's an amazing meditator. But it's like those things work for her, but start small. Don't try to learn everything at once. Pick up a book, read something,
Yeah.
try meditation, go to a breathwork. Just
Ask
literally
for ask for
starts.
help.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ask for help. But
Yeah.
don't try to overload yourself thinking that you need to become a spiritual whiz straight away because it's not the case. You'll just end up looking at it going, like what is it? Paralysis by analysis.
Mm-hmm.
You got way too many things. So you turn around and go, fuck it, and don't do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's
So yeah.
yeah, I think yeah, a good starting point is find somebody you resonate with that you trust that says,
Mm,
"Hey, I believe they can take me to next
mm,
level." Try
mm.
things out because a lot of things are going to be outside their box and new. What else? I was going to make a good point. You're just talking about oh, but you have to judge what you're doing based off the fruits of it, right? So if you're not getting the
Mhm.
results you want, okay, well then try something else. A
Exactly.
lot of people, that's how you're going to know if it's actually true and working for you or not. Is
Mm,
is this getting the results I actually want, right?
mm.
Am I growing beyond just, do I feel like my internal state's actually shifting, right?
Yeah, but you need
Do I
to
feel like I'm,
also you need people need to also make sure they give it time as well.
yeah,
They
of
need,
course, yeah,
they need to be patient with it and not try to get something within a week and go fuck it's not working.
and you said, yeah, yeah, and you said the foundational things too as well, and that's, I get people all the time. It's, people message me on Instagram. They're like, "Oh, you're a fitness coach," and I'm like, "No, I'm not a fitness coach, but I've helped people with
Yeah.
fitness." But they go, what do you think about the supplement? What about this? What about that?" They want to stack everything on top of nothing
Mm,
because they don't have a
mm,
foundation. I'm like, okay, well, how's your training? How's your sleep? How's your diet? Are you doing
mm,
the basics? No,
mm,
well, I'm busy at
mm,
work. My food's a little off. My sleep, my stress, my bubble,
mm,
whatever. And I'm
mm.
like, okay. And they're like, well, how do you do it? Like, what supplements do you take? I'm like, I don't take any supplements. I take,
Yeah.
I eat food. I typically tend to like a higher carbohydrate diet.
Mm,
Um, and I'm like, that works for me. And I, put on size pretty regularly and quickly.
mm,
Oh, what are you taking this? You taking that? No, I'm not taking any of that. Right. I would, I've taken creatine before and I'm consistent with that every once in a while, but it's like the stuff that the foundational stuff is the stuff people overlook. They're like, oh, that's boring. All right. They want some magical answer. And it's funny. It's like, none of
mm,
this is, it's not some crazy answer. I'm not going to say, oh, well, you have to go like climb this mountain. You're going to see this guy that's
mm.
bald and he's going to hand you this thing and whatever. And then your life's going to change. It's like, no, it's like just meditate, do
Yep.
that, do that. Be nice to people,
Yep.
open yourself up a little more, have that conversation, do this, do that.
Yep.
Right. And then here's the
Mm,
support. Here's the energetic support. Here's the tools. Here's whatever.
mm,
And then they see like, and that's the consistency of like, oh, hey, now day by day, things are getting better and better and better and better. Right. It's like
uh-huh.
when you're looking for that quick fix or that like supplement that's going to solve all your problems, that magic pill, it's like it's all bullshit, but you take it, it's like some placebo effect, and then boom,
Hmm.
straight. It's
Yeah.
like
There's
just
sort
take the
of
steps so you
people
can
like,
sustain it.
what's the best exercise to get abs? And I just say to them, it's like your diet, and they go, no, no, what's the best exercise? I'm like,
Yeah.
your diet.
Just be
They don't
like,
like
here,
it.
there's this exercise where you lift things in your mouth. Do less of that, and then
Yeah,
you'll get abs. Right?
exactly.
You might get some shoulder striations if you're, all right. That's like do that.
Bicep curls.
Yeah, exactly. Just have one bicep. You'll have abs. You look great.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, cool. Yeah, we touched about a lot of cool stuff. So appreciate your time, and
No, thank you, bro. Thank you
you
for having
know,
me.
we'll be out soon. So appreciate it.
No,
Have a good one.
thank you, sir. Thank you, brother.
See ya.
Bye.